Hello and welcome to the show. You're watching Second Amendment Sis. I'm the co-host Steffanie Rivers and my co-host Phyllis Petit.
Phyllis Petite, how are you?
How's it going, Phyllis? How's your week?
It's going good. I'm a little sore. I'm a little tight today. I participated in a 7 mile hike yesterday with the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, giving it a try,
Wow.
seeing what they do, and it was so much fun. But I can hardly walk today.
Was it like a survivalist, like you got lost in the woods, or y'all just wanted to
Yes.
go hiking?
Well, we just went. We went to simulate a couple of situations and scenarios.
Uh-huh.
Say, for instance, if we had to walk a long distance because your car stopped on you, right? And you've got to walk 7 miles, to the gas station or to civilization or just to get near people. Could you do it? And so it wasn't the 7 miles that really hurt the most, but I decided to wear a 20-pound weight vest instead of my bug out bag, right? Because I
Wow.
thought that would be simpler, right? Her and the other girl, she wore a 30-pound weight vest. And he told us, he said, y'all don't have to do that. He said, I don't know if I would do that. But we was like, yeah, we gonna do it. We gonna do it. Going was fine. Coming back, whew. And she switched with one of the guys. And he had a huge bug out bag. He didn't believe her vest was 30 pounds. So they switched. I think he didn't go a quarter of a mile. He was like, hey, you can get this bag. Because it's really
Wow.
heavy on your shoulders.
Yeah, I kickbox with a 20-pound vest on, and so
Uh-huh.
I would really be interested in joining y'all the next time. What did I do yesterday? I went to the gym. I do try to do different
Thing.
physical challenges to kind of keep
Right.
my body, guessing. So I'd
Right.
love to do that next time. If y'all have guests, let me know.
Oh, most
Speaking of
definitely.
guests, do we
Yeah.
have one? Who's our guest tonight, Phyllis?
Tonight our guest is Orrin Fredericks Lions Gun Club. I met Orrin back in September for the Texas Toast competition. So I had an all ladies team, but a couple of the ladies had to drop out. And Orrin wanted to participate, and he reached out to Huey P. Newton Gun Club, and they told him, "Well, I have a team. It's all ladies, and I think she needs somebody because somebody dropped out." So he asked me, "Would you be willing to at least let one guy come on the team?" I was like, "At this point, I don't care. Yes, fine, because I need bodies, right?" And I'm like, "He's a guy, he got to be decent." You know what I'm saying? I'm like, we had never met.
Right.
So he kept saying that he was calling me, and I finally reached out to him on Messenger, and I was like, "Say, are you still want to participate? I've been calling you." I was like, "What number are you dialing?" Found out it was the wrong number. Anyway, we got past that, and we literally met the day before the competition out at ETTS. He was holding the training, and I went out there and met him, and we haven't been. I mean, it's like we've been knowing each other forever, right? And
Well,
then for the
great.
competition, he brought us through. Like, he encouraged us. He didn't let us be afraid. We had never done it before. But it was so much fun. And the only thing we didn't he just kept us uplifted the whole time. So now I told him we family now. We stuck to Orrin. Like, every time we do something, they're like, "Did you call Orrin? Somebody needs to call Orrin." I'm like, "Well, just text him." Y'all act like I'm the only one. Well, somebody
So
called
then,
Orrin, and
so
he's an
then,
awesome guy. And then I took a training with him back in, was that December 11th?
December 11th.
It's December 11th. It was freezing outside, and he came back to Dallas to do some trainings, and we took an actual class with him, and he really helped me with my grip. And baby, I'm on it now. I'm on
all
it now.
right. So I guess it's safe to say, Orrin, you're an asset and not a liability, huh?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Well, welcome to the show. You're coming to us from the Tampa, Florida area. Is that where you live now?
Yes, and ladies, thank you for having me on. I do live in the Tampa Bay, Florida area. Absolutely. Been here since 1997.
That's a long time.
1997. All right, and you are the president of the Black Lions Gun Club. How long have you had your gun club going on?
Well, I've been president of this gun club for about, I want to say I started in June of 2018. So it's been a couple of years.
What made you
It's been
decide
a
to do
couple of
it?
years. Well, what happened was, you guys know Steffanie Marie. She actually had started the club a year before that, and of course she was transitioning out to Houston, Texas, and she wanted someone to step up and kind of take the reins. So there wasn't a lot of us at the time, so I stepped up and took the reins. Obviously, from her vision, I saw the need for the gun club within the African American community. So the first thing I did was I sat down and with the vice president and the secretary, and we kind of put our heads together, put a strategy together for the club for the year, and it's been gung ho ever since.
Awesome, awesome. I didn't know that that's how that your relationship with her goes back that far. You
Oh
see
yeah.
how closely these circles keep connecting. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
When
most
you
definitely.
say
I thought
family,
that,
it is
yeah.
family for real.
I
Yeah.
I actually thought Steffanie Marie was from the Houston area. So she started out. She was in. I know she was in the military. So
She's
she
from New
started
York though,
out.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
She's
she's
from New
from New
York as
York
well.
originally.
From New York. So did
Yeah.
you guys know each other when she was in New York, when you were in New York and she was in New York?
No, I grew up in Brooklyn. What is near in Flatbush to be exact. So we didn't know each other in New York. No.
Okay, cool. Small world, man.
So you know what, Orrin, what I want to ask is, when a lot of us think about the boroughs of New York, we hear news about New York. We One of the things that we know about New York is the strict gun laws,
Mm.
and now you live there. You said you lived in Texas at some point, and now you're in Florida. Tell us about how the freedom of having guns and the how that has changed you, and what you think now about looking back at what New Yorkers go through, because they have very strict gun laws. I mean, you can't even possess a gun. Is that correct in New York?
Well, it takes a lot to, yeah, it would take a lot to have one. But they have very, very extremely draconian gun laws in New York. As a matter of fact, growing up in the area that I grew up in, I did see guns as a child, but they were never in the home, right? It's usually when you ran across someone being shot in the street, or you're roller skating and you bump into some guys and the gun falls out. That was my first exposure to firearms. Never saw it in a friend's house. It was never in our house. No one even really talked about it. Only people that had firearms were two sets of people. As when I was coming up, was the criminals and the police. That's it.
Wow.
When we moved, when we moved to Texas, it was a whole new world, right?
Mhm.
Because now, I was in woodshop in middle school, and we were building gun racks for the back of our pickup
Pickup.
trucks or our cars
Mhm.
Mm,
down the road years later that we were going to do. It was kind of like, this is what you did in woodshop. You built clocks and
Gun range.
gun
gun racks,
racks.
period.
Yeah, that was
So it
it.
was a whole new culture shock.
Yeah, because everybody have them in Texas.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, going somewhere and not seeing one, it surprises me.
yeah.
You know, if I'm
Yeah.
like nobody in here has a gun. you know.
And it was also my first introduction into hunting, right? It was
Hmm.
a bit of a shocker too, right? Because I had no idea what buffalo chips were. So when my friend's dad was like, "Yeah, you guys, kids, go get the buffalo chips for the fire," I was looking like, "We're going to a store to get like chips? What kind of sense does that make?" So
Hmm.
needless to say, we didn't have, we didn't think about gloves and stuff like that back then. So, we're harvesting these buffalo chips in the prairie, and that
Hmm.
scarred me for life.
You see my face? I'm like, ooh.
I wasn't hungry for the whole weekend.
I
Just
know.
using my hands to eat. I just couldn't do it. But
It would have never
it
been
did.
clean enough. Yeah, it'd been like,
No,
now I gotta burn my hands off.
exactly. But it did
Oh
open my
no.
eyes to hunting and the other aspect of gun ownership. So, and then just conversations with his dad. I'll never forget his dad saying to us at the time that he zeroed his rifle when he was 16, 17. And
Mhm.
here he was in his 50s. He's never zeroed it since because he's the only person that uses his gun when he goes
Wow.
hunting. And I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow. So how much stricter are the gun laws in Florida compared to Texas?
Well,
Are they about the same?
I'll say they're a little bit looser. Here's why I say that because Texas has laws, right? Texas,
Mhm.
even with your constitutional carry, you have 30-06, 30-7, and um, people unfortunately are going to carry constitutional carry and are not aware of the laws in the state of Texas. They can find themselves in a world of hurt, right?
Mhm.
Um, so in the state of Florida, you don't have the 30-06, 30-7. As a matter of fact, one of the big ones that comes up is, these signs. Sometimes you see at these places where they say, "Oh, no firearms allowed," et cetera, et cetera. But
Mhm.
within the Florida statutes, it's not a rule that in the event that you're someplace and someone sees you printing and they call the police on you and things like that, the
Mhm.
best they can do is ask you to leave, right?
Mhm.
Um, and if you choose not to leave because you want to be precocious and whatever, then of
Stir
course
it up.
it's trespassing, right? So now it's criminal trespass with a firearm. So I always,
Right.
when I talk to
Big
people
issue.
about, just because you might be in the right, don't be wrong and strong, right? If they ask
Mhm.
you to leave their business and you know that they can't enforce this whole, no firearms allowed, leave anyways, because if you don't, now you're opening yourself up to additional litigation for no reason.
So I see in this photo we got up here, I see a lot of ladies. So do you like training with the ladies especially?
Well, it's a combination of both. We have a
Mhm.
good group of female members that come out and participate and shoot. Um,
Mhm.
as a matter of fact, I'm a I'm a firm proponent for gun safety and um, when you're going to own a firearm. So what I've done within my club is I have a 4-week training process, and the
Mhm.
4-week training process really gets is designed to get someone comfortable with their firearm because, as we know, you know, we hear on the news all the time about the amount of gun ownership and women own guns and things like this.
Mhm.
But when you actually peel the onion back and you ask who actually carries a firearm, you'll find
Right.
that a lot of people do not actually carry a firearm. And
They
the
just
reason they
own
do
it.
not carry a firearm is because they're not comfortable with the firearm. So
Mhm.
in our club, we make it a point that we, it's not just the marksmanship, but we put them through a series of drills, everything from reloading to, handling malfunctions, changing
Mhm.
magazines, all of that,
Mhm.
and get them comfortable with the firearm because our expectation is if you're gonna get a firearm and get the license, know how to use it and be
Yes,
comfortable
every
using it.
aspect of it. Most
Yeah,
definitely.
there are a lot of well, in Texas and probably other states, they've started to not require people to have a license. And that's one of the things that Phyllis and I and our gun club presidents and members try to talk to people about is that it's a big responsibility to carry a weapon, like a big responsibility of driving a car, like
Mhm.
any weapon that could be used or any instrument that could be used as a weapon. You need to know how to use it, how to transport it safely. And yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, because there's more to it than just pointing and shooting a
Mhm.
weapon. You have to know how to clean it, how to use it, how to transport it, how to do a lot of things. And
Yes.
there's more to it than that. So that's I'm glad that you said that.
Then what do you think
And
about what do you think the majority of men's opinion is about women carrying guns?
well, they'll probably pull my man card, but you know,
No,
what
they
we
won't.
find
No.
what we find is, again, in training for the amount of years that I have, I'll always, tell a young lady, tell a wife, tell a daughter, you really want to find a gun that fits you, right? But what will happen is she'll show up with a gun. Husband bought himself a beautiful 9 millimeter. I mean, a beautiful gun, all the bells and whistles
Uh-huh.
on it, and he bought her. Nothing against them, but he bought her a Bursa 22, right?
Mm.
Um, we've had elderly ladies come to the range. They come to the club. They join, and they're well into their 60s. And the son is a state trooper in Pennsylvania. So the son of a state trooper in Pennsylvania told them they should have a 44 Magnum,
Mm.
and
You
they
can't
they
even
can't
hold
even
it.
exactly, much less pull the trigger, right? But that's the reality of what's happening out there with
Mm.
the gun ownership. So then, unfortunately, we
Mhm.
have to have the conversation about with the lady with the revolver. You really got to find something that fits you. And then, of course, these guns have sentimental attachments to them because they might have been a
Yeah.
family members and things like that. But again, I get it, but you really
Mhm.
have to find something that's going to work for you
Yes.
because when that bump in the night or that window crashes or someone's coming through your door, you don't want to be figuring it out at that point.
Right.
It has to be second nature at that point.
Exactly.
And you
Not.
know what? That's why,
No second.
Phyllis, and I probably say this every show we have, which is why I like ladies' night at the range, because you get to try different guns. You go in, as long as you
Mhm.
buy the bullets, they'll let you get the gun,
Yeah.
and you get to shoot it and see how your hand is in relation to the width and length of the gun, and
Mhm.
just to see, so without having to purchase something, pay $500 or $600 for a
Mhm.
weapon, and then realize, you know what, I really don't even like this weapon. It doesn't even work for me. And then
Right.
having to, so that's important, that we go to, that you are actively trying to figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
And that's why I like it. But I have started going to the outdoor ranges so I can work on scenarios like you're saying. What if somebody comes in, and I'm laughing a little because my my shooting coach, has me doing scenarios, and I won't get into the details. He like, what if somebody does this? You need to put two here and two there, turning around. I'm like turning around, doing this, that, and the third. But because you want to be versatile. You want to feel
Mhm.
comfortable, so that is important. Um, and it's
And
just you.
I'll tell you a true story. I was in a range. It was maybe 2 months ago, and there was
Mhm.
a mother and daughter in the range, and I can tell they were fairly new shooters, and they were learning to. Well, I want to say learning, but they really should not have been learning, right? Because mom had had a gun for years in her nightstand at the bed. But clearly, I could see that mom and daughter were crossing their thumbs behind the slide. And again,
Oh.
I'm going to try to prevent an injury. So I had a
Right.
conversation with him briefly on the range about proper grip, et cetera, et cetera. And I gave some minor instruction. Then I left.
Mhm.
Well, I sat in the lobby talking to people because like going to that range is like going to a second home. Anyway, the ladies came out and they were explaining to me why they were there. And the situation was some people and the daughter normally sits in her car listening to her music, and mom is
Mhm.
in the house. But on this particular night, the people across the street had an altercation at their home.
Mhm.
None of mom and daughter's business at all. They had an altercation at the neighbor's house across the street. and the
Mhm.
neighbor was cut and bleeding. The daughter's in the car with her music, not really paying attention to what's going on. Mom is in the bed thinking the daughter is now coming into the house in an awfully loud fashion. So mom
Mhm.
gets up, she sees this guy standing in her doorway 7 yards away from her, bloody and asking for help.
Oh,
And she ran and she grabbed her gun, and luckily she did not immediately think engage, 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 but she actually listened to him saying he actually needed help, and she didn't shoot him. But just that event caused her and her daughter to realize how vulnerable they were and
yes.
untrained they were, so they found themselves in the gun range getting some help.
Oh my gosh. Yes, and you don't want it to be the last minute or one of those scenarios. What if? Like their situation. That's frightening to me. Yes. That. Oh man. And I like I said, I enjoy getting training from various trainers, people who are patient and people who want to teach you the right way, people who want to teach you the safety first, because that's important. Just how quickly she could have shot her neighbor and he came for help and wound up getting shot.
Hmm.
See, you don't ever want to be in that situation, because when you've had proper training, you're more on the alert anyway. You know, and kind of person I am, I'm not sitting out in the car listening to the radio. Not these days. You can't do that anymore. And I don't live in what a bad neighborhood. Every neighborhood is bad. you know,
Right.
every
Has the
neighborhood is bad. Anything can happen
right.
anywhere.
The potential. Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly. There's no such thing as it not me. Oh no, not me. And I don't want to be in that situation. Not no, not doing it. So if you had to, what would be your best advice to any of the women that, are interested in getting licensed to carry and or taking classes or getting any kind of training? What would be your best advice?
My best advice would be, first and foremost, be honest with how much training you want to do, and set aside time for that. Kind of like going to the gym or going to get your nails done or going to get your hair done. Set aside time for that. And once you set aside time for that, get with an instructor that is not going to just be okay, we got one class and you're done, because you're not going to get it all in one class. If you have to go back 3 or 4 times, schedule that time, block that time off, dedicate that time to that training, because it is going to take about 4 to 5 sessions of repetitive reinforcement to really
Mhm.
get to the point where, okay, take the training wheels off, let me come to the range and work on some stuff of my own. But I do need to leave an open channel so that in a month or two, if I want you to spot check where I'm at as far as where my development is, that you're open to that without charging me another restart fee, so to speak. So those are some things that I would recommend to women if they're looking for a trainer. Is number one, first of all, you have to commit to
Mhm.
the training that you're asking for.
Mhm.
Number one. Number two, find a trainer that's going to put you on a schedule and commit to that time on a regular basis. And number
Mhm.
three, follow up with it, right? Follow up every 90 days or so. Now, one of the best benefits that women have, I think, especially with all of these gun ranges, is they do have that Women's Day where they can shoot for free
Mhm.
and use it. So I'm gonna shift gears on you really quick. So we talk about the amount of African American women that own guns and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the gun ranges here have ladies' name. One has it on Monday, another has it on Tuesday. And I'm talking 20, 30 bays of open
Women.
lanes. And I'm reading the numbers of that. So many millions of African American women are not firearm owners. But when I go to the range and I count 10, 20, 30, we're not represented there.
Mm.
We're not represented there. So we need to take the training seriously and not just buy the firearm and have it in the
Put it in
purse.
the nightstand, right? Or get the license and never do anything. Never get a firearm.
Right.
So I have a friend who qualified with a smaller caliber, and but she went and purchased a 9 millimeter. She got to the range and it scared her to death because she was like, she wasn't expecting that kick, that, even the sound of it is different. And she's like, I got to get myself used to it. I was like, well, you're not going to get used to it if you don't go. I said, it gets better. But I do find that I think that women or anyone that is starting out shooting is more comfortable in an outside environment because it's not such close quarters, and it doesn't, the sound of the gunfire is not as aggressive. It doesn't sound as loud. It takes a minute, and then you got somebody right next to you, and their shells are flying over on your side. So that's a lot to pay attention to or distract you when you're trying to learn and you're nervous. So I will say, I say it all the time, I really enjoy an outside range, an outdoor range. You
And
can
to your
do so
point,
much.
one of the things as an instructor that I do, if I know that I have a female student that I'm working with and I know that she's relatively new, the relationships that I have with the gun ranges, I'll tell them, hey, don't put nobody next to me that has an AK-47 that's, for whatever
Right,
reason, they're bringing an AK-47 into an indoor range to shoot at 25 yards. What type of hero are they trying to be, right?
right.
So anybody that has an AK-47 or a shotgun, don't put me in that bay.
Right.
And they know that, and normally with these ranges, the corner bays tend to have a little bit more room just by the way they're
Mhm.
designed. And it was to the point where, they would jokingly say that that was my like apartment, right? But I was, but I was
You were
serious,
there a lot.
I was there a lot, but I was serious in the sense that, if it's full, I get it, but I don't want to be in a bay with a shotgun and or an AK-47. I'll wait.
Right.
And if possible, I know they try to stack you next to each other like sardines, put me and my
Yeah.
student all the
Put
way
me
down in the
right
other end.
all the way at the
Um,
end. I can walk
Hmm.
down there.
yep,
Yeah, I feel the same way. Don't have me
yep,
Yeah.
all up under folk. I don't know these people.
Right.
mm-mm,
I'm
But
like, I don't know what they over here doing. And every time they shoot, we jump. you know?
yep.
I'm like,
Because
ah,
because it makes it a horrible experience. Because number one, their ears are not accustomed to gunfire, and
right.
the AK-47 and the shotgun next to them that's going to be okay. They
All you
just
hear.
their nerves are going to be just elevated
Shocked.
for unnecessary reasons. The nerves are
Hmm.
elevated, and then you're trying to instruct them on a proper grip, side alignment, trigger press, etc., etc.
Hmm.
All that stuff is out the window because they're concerned about what they're hearing and they're jumping and stuff
Exactly.
like that. So
Exactly. I know people who say, I've been around guns all my life, and I'm like, yeah, but it's another feeling when you get in that range and that gunfire is popping off. Unless you grew up in little Baghdad, you're not gonna be used to that, you know? And then they get in there and everybody's jumping and
yeah,
ready to go.
yeah,
Well, I don't like it in here. Why are they so close? I was like, see, I told you it's a whole nother element. But I tell most people that I know, anybody I know that's starting out, if you can try an outdoor range,
hmm
try them both and see which you prefer, because the environment that you learn in is so very important. Because if you
yeah,
can't get comfortable, you're not open to learning. Like you said, you're paying attention to what's going on around you, because you hear that more than you hear the person talking to you. You can't even hear the person talking to you for some of that gunfire. And I
right,
qualified at a very small range. I mean, when I tell y'all it was tight, I think they might have had 4, maybe 5 bays. Maybe
mm,
that, I don't even think it's that many. But when I tell you, from the wall was just as close as I am right now to this wall behind me.
mm.
Barely enough room to stand and for the RSO to walk behind you. It was tight.
hmm
I was like, let's get this over with so we can go. I don't like it. And of course, next to me, there's a guy with an AK. I was like, why? I'm like, what is he shooting?
right.
I don't. I haven't been back to that range since. I don't like the environment. I'm not comfortable with it. It's not and with that you have a choice as to where you learn and the environment that you're in when you learn. So how
And
do
one of
we
the
get
things that I did as an instructor is I also invested in the electronic gears, and it's
uh-huh.
amazing. People are like, what is that? That they get the electronic gears on and they can hear me speaking, and not it
Yes.
baffles out the gunfire. So that's also a benefit that if your instructor doesn't have it,
Mhm.
invest the money in some electronic gears. It's
Yes.
worth it. It's worth
Yes.
it. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Yes, I bought those first. That was the first pair I bought, and now they're a lot cheaper. But I was like, geez, $60. But I was like, they are. When I put them on, I was like, these are awesome. Oh man, these are great. And I keep extra batteries in my range bag just in case they go out.
Yeah.
Orrin, I've got a question. Especially, with the rise in assault rifle purchases. What my I if my question is, if weapons are primarily to be used for self-defense, why do you think so many people are starting to engage in rifles and shotguns outside of hunting? It's like, if the person is that far away from you that you need a rifle to shoot them, then you can retreat. Isn't that like
Yeah, how were they a
the
threat?
whole yeah, right, the whole was isn't that what it's about, is to try to disengage with a threat? Why do you feel like people are so wanting to do rifles and shotguns when they claim it's for self-defense?
Well, it is. It is for self-defense because, as a matter of fact, for a very long time, way before the popularity of the semi-automatic pistol, the shotgun traditionally had always been the traditional home defense weapon, right? And people would load it with bird shot or sand and different things like that. But the shotgun had always been a traditional home defense weapon. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of benefits to using a shotgun as a home defense weapon versus a pistol. A lot of times, if you pay it, when we saw the Rittenhouse trial, right, and the
Mhm.
prosecutor was trying to ask him about, oh, well, why did you have these rounds in your firearm, et cetera, et cetera. His communication was it was just range ammo, right? It was just the ammo that was in the gun from when he went to the range. What happens, unfortunately, is people will the same thing happens with firearms, and people will load their firearms with range ammo and not really understand the difference between self-defense ammo and range ammo. So one of the things that happened when handguns became the home defense mechanism, that's when you have travel, right? The rounds from a range round will go through a person and through a door and possibly into the neighbor's home, whereas self-defense rounds are designed to mushroom, and the mushrooming will slow it down. So,
Ah,
so that's why those two types of ammunition exist. Now, as far as a rifle is concerned, the reason a rifle has become another tool for home defense is because, unfortunately, these criminals don't come individually; they come in pairs, they come in packs. Sometimes there's four of them,
hmm.
and a rifle has so many more points of contact that it gives you better control. And also, not only do these criminals come in packs, but they have the audacity to come with telephone books wrapped around their chest and their back with duct tape to prevent some of the hollow point rounds from going through. And you need something that's going to penetrate those books that are tightly compressed and then wrapped around their body with duct tape. This assailant in Miami had the audacity, broke into a guy's house, ended up killing the homeowner. The homeowner shot him as well, though, and he was bleeding, and he ran to the neighbor's house to get help because I've been shot, I've been shot. But he's the one that broke into the guy's house and killed the guy, and the
Mm.
guy shot him in self-defense. But he had the telephone books and stuff wrapped around him, so he lived.
Wow, wow. And you know what? Thanks for that explanation, because no one has ever explained that to me like that. And so now I know, I could say, okay, a shotgun could be, but also I showed up to the range for practice yesterday with hollow points, and I didn't realize that because I didn't read. I saw the box said SF or whatever hollow points HP on the box, but I just thought it was just ammo. I didn't know. So then my shooting coach was like, "You got money to burn or something? You're not supposed to use these for practice." So now, just like you said, when you keep going to the range and keep your practice up, you learn something different and more every time. So now I know, okay, these hollow points, and then they're supposed to, when they hit the person, expand in that person. Don't go through the person, because you're responsible for what happens with that bullet after, if it doesn't hit your intended target. So thanks for that. I'm sure there's somebody else out there who needed that information other than
A
me.
lot of people needed that information.
Definitely.
Yes. I learned that when I was buying my first box of ammo. And I was reading the box. Well, I already knew what hollow points were. I knew that. And I knew I didn't use them in the range. I just needed to know which ones were the least expensive to use in the range.
Right.
Because I have a sister and dad, and in the ex-military, so I knew the difference. But when you actually out, and there's so many different kinds now, though. You know what I'm saying? So still, like, you gotta watch it.
There's so much to keep up with. There really is.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know what? I mean, that's life. If you want to be better and do better, there's responsibilities that come with that. So you're right. I bought a whole bunch of ammo because they were having a sale. I don't know if it's good or not, but so far so good. But maybe that's not the best brand. And the only way I'm going to know that is if I continue to use it, and then I'll know, okay, this is a good brand for my weapon, because just like fuel for your vehicle, some grades of fuel are not good and others are better. So you just learn as you go. So what kind of activities are you is your gun club planning for 2022, Orrin? Are you guys having any competitions or any outings, survival training that we can help you to promote?
I'm glad you asked, because as a matter of fact, we as a club, we shoot this coming weekend. We'll be in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, which is on the other side of the state, Orlando rather. We'll be there participating in a GSSF match. We shoot about 3 or 4 GSSF matches a year. Usually, once we do the Homestead match in April, we're done with GSSF, and we also transition to IDPA matches. We shoot USPSA matches, and when we do those, you're looking at, we can shoot Friday and Sunday of every week. It's just a matter of picking which one you want to do. I personally prefer USPSA, but IDPA is a good one as well. But we shoot, we're shooting all the time.
So which weapon are you using in this picture right here?
That picture right there, that's my M&P 45. It's Smith & Wesson M&P 45. But for the matches, you have to. You don't have to, but there's different classifications for different guns. But for USPSA, I shoot a SIG P320 X5 Legion, kind of a bigger, heavier gun. For IDPA, the concept is self-defense, drawn from concealment, and engaging threats. So for that one, I'll carry P320 X carry, a smaller frame, but the same type of SIG platform.
Okay.
I'm thinking about. I really, really want. I think that's the one I want. There's a SIG. Between the SIG and the Canic. I want one of each, actually, but unless I can find a good sale, it won't be two. I do. Those I got a chance to shoot one, and I really liked it compared to my Smith and Wesson. The trigger, the trigger thing you taught me, Orrin. He taught me to listen for the clicks in the trigger. so you don't have to let it come all the way back before you fire again, right? Man, I've been using that trick. It's like second nature now because I know it's there.
Watch out now.
Yes.
Feeling for that trigger reset.
Yes. So if
Well,
people wanted to get in contact with you, what is your contact information?
Well, the Fredericks Security Solutions is my business. My last name is spelled Fredericks. Fredericks Security Solutions. We have a website. From the website, they can see all the different classes that we offer. On a quarterly basis, I do come out to Texas. I've got some family out there. My two sisters are still there in Fort Worth. My daughter and my three grandsons are there in Fort Worth as well. So I come out on a quarterly basis to mess up their house, and then I come home. You see, so and when I do come out there, I like to put on some classes, get out, do some shooting, and then go do the nightlife and go sleep, and then fly back home.
Yeah. When you came for Christmas during December, he came out and hung out with us for our tribe Christmas party.
oh
And
yeah.
we had a good time. But we had a training earlier that day too. It was the same weekend. And so I did a march, I did the training, and then we went out that night. So I was so tired. But I was like, but this was a really good weekend. Filled with fun and guns.
Most definitely. So, Orrin, be sure to send us the if you have a flyer or any information about that upcoming event, and we'll start promoting it for people in your area. And who knows, Phyllis and I might try to stop through and join the competition.
Oh, absolutely. Level. We have a range day the third Saturday of every month without fail. So the third Saturday of every month, we do a range day from 8:30 to 12:30. And then what I do is I break our training up into pistol and rifle. What I mean by that is, so in January, we'll have our range day. And then after the range day, we'll have a pistol training from 1 to 5:30. Everything from basic fundamentals to pistol dynamics, moving and shooting. That's January. February, this upcoming month, we'll have another range day. And after the range day, we'll do a rifle class where we'll break down rifles, put them back together, how to clean them, ask questions about rifles, don't overscope your rifle, you know, how to maintain maintenance on your rifle, how to shoot your rifle, things like that. And then in the third month, so in the month of March, it gets really crazy because what I do there is I have not just a range day, but I have another weekend where it's the entire day of pistol and rifle shenanigans. And then in April, we start all over again. April, May, June, and then July, we start all over again. And it's the same thing every quarter.
Cool. So tell me, is your curriculum, can you take any of your classes online? Do I have to be in Florida? Or do you have curriculum available online, like things that I could follow when I'm here and, going to the range on my own, and something for me to, to follow, to check myself, do you know what I mean? Like homework.
Right. So that's one of the things that we're working on this year is putting some of that content on YouTube, because I do have a lot of syllabi for everything that I teach. Golly, I think when I sent out my syllabus to some of my new students in my instructor development course, they couldn't believe it's like 35 pages long. So, but again,
it's a lot to learn.
It's like, but it's like, right? So it's everything from, let me say, basic pistol to fundamental pistol to dynamic pistol. Then you do basic rifle, fundamental rifle, dynamic rifle. Then you do red dot. Then you do concealed carry. So it's a lot. It's,
it's a lot.
6-7 different to that syllabus, and then I walk them through it. And that's the best way to do it, is to kind of walk through it. I've always been the kind of person that learns by doing. I just have to physically do it because it builds that muscle memory.
That's true. That is true. I'm really glad you got a chance to come onto the show today. I appreciate you for coming.
Thank
you.
We
learned a lot today.
Indeed,
a lot.
Did.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies, for having me.
Yes,
And be sure to get us, if you have any flyers or anything, just send them our way, and we'll incorporate that in future shows.
Absolutely.
definitely.
I'll send my
Don't
website
forget
and
to
I'll
don't forget to
go ahead.
share our Facebook page with all your friends and family and church members.
Yes.
I will do.
Second Amendment, sis. All right. Thank you, Orrin. You have a great rest of your week, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you. Have a good
All
night.
right, stay safe. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was a good interview, Phyllis. I'm glad we
Yes.
had a chance to talk to Orrin, and get his information, and just sharing, just by conversation, you learn so much. Because
Mm-hmm.
I had some, although I've had my license to carry for going on 2 years, I think. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just like you said, jumping in there and making it a part of what you feel is important, for you. Just like you go to the gym, you go to church, you go to work,
Mm-hmm.
you go to gun class.
Listen,
you
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 know
know
how many
you
times I've wanted to talk myself out of training or doing something I need to do. When we finish with our show tonight, I'm a part of a virtual dry fire class, and that starts at 8. And then on Wednesdays we do land navigation classes. So like I can get lost in the woods now, and I know how to get home. If I can't even see where I'm going, as long as I have my compass, like I really know how to read it. You know what I mean? Like these
hmm
things are things that you've thought about but never put into action. And so many times I'd be wanting to talk myself out of it, but and after that 7 mile hike yesterday, I can barely walk. So I hope he doesn't have us doing a lot.
and
He
and
doesn't.
you and I said I was going to take a major hike every year for the rest of my life, every once at least once a year for the rest of my life. And so I'm very interested in that. So if you guys do that on a regular basis, be sure and let me know, because I'd love to participate.
I
And
definitely will let you know. They do things like that all the time. You know what I'm saying? And the turnout was great. You know what I mean? It was a Sunday evening, afternoon. Um,
mhm.
of course, you want to see football. You like, I really, really ain't been watching football. We just look at the highlights, right?
Right, right. You can watch the whole game on YouTube later on at your time, at your convenience,
If
if
I
you want
watch
to.
it at all, right? So
Correct.
what we did yesterday was just so much more fun. You know what I'm saying? And got in a serious workout. And just to accomplish that, because like I say, if you work out in the gym and you're on a treadmill, that's definitely different than beating that pavement for 7 miles.
Definitely, definitely.
Yes,
Well, let me get you so you can get ready for your dry fire virtual training.
yes,
And
I love it.
we want to thank you guys for joining our membership and viewership. Members, what is it? Followers on our Facebook
Yes,
page. I get my little phrases so mixed up, girl. So many platforms. But
I know,
anyway,
right? I'm like, man, this is a lot.
we thank y'all from wherever y'all coming from
Yes,
for
we
paying
do.
attention to what we're doing, and we're
Yes.
growing every day, and our sponsors are lining up. So stay tuned. We've got great things in store for you for the rest of 2022. So Phyllis, we will see you the next time.
Okay, you stay safe.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.